We at the Lincoln Project are confident that Donald Trump understands his position.
That this Trump will be better than the man who tore the country apart.
Remember when Melania used to pretend she could stand being in the same room as Trump? Well, that facade just crumbled faster than Trump's spray tan in a rainstorm. According to reports, the Lincoln Project's latest ad had Melania turning into a literal Slovenian volcano at Mar-a-Lago, throwing Donald's stuff around and screaming in her native language. Now the Trumps are apparently sleeping in separate bedrooms, so far apart they need golf carts to visit each other. Nothing says happy marriage like needing vehicular transportation to see your spouse in your own home. The ad that caused this meltdown? A master class in psychological warfare targeting Trump's fragile ego. And boy, did it work. So the Lincoln Project pulled off what might be the greatest psychological hit job in political history. When they aired that ad near Mar-a-Lago, they weren't just hoping Trump would see it, they were laying the perfect trap for a man whose ego is more fragile than a chocolate teapot in the Sahara. What makes this whole thing so delicious is that these weren't just random Democrats throwing shade. These were former Republican insiders who knew exactly where all Trump's bodies are buried. When they called him Putin's useful fool and showcased his greatest failures, it wasn't just another attack ad. It was like watching someone's ex publish their diary entries.
We feel certain Trump will play his part because he's a good boy. Who's a good boy?
And a better perspective and a better persona and a better style of leadership than the man who led a conspiracy. This is the Donald Trump who has been found guilty and convicted of financial fraud.
And boy, oh boy, did Trump fall right into their trap. According to witnesses at Mar-a-Lago, our former president didn't just get annoyed. He had a full-on physical meltdown. His face turned so red it was practically glowing through that famous spray tan, with sweat beginning to streak through his orange foundation. Picture a human tomato in a suit having an emotional breakdown, and you're getting close.
We at the Lincoln Project are confident that Donald Trump understands his position.
That this Trump will be better than the man who tore the country apart. Of ethical character has been on display for every minute of his adult life. We know who he is.
The Lincoln Project knew exactly what they were doing. These folks understand that Trump has spent decades crafting this image as the ultimate alpha male winner who never loses at anything. So when former allies started publicly pointing and laughing at his failures, it hit harder than any political attack could. It's like having your childhood friends show up at your wedding to tell everyone about the time you wet your pants in 5th grade.
Admiring the assets of other men. Meanwhile, President Musk can get down to the business of running the country.
Willing to not accept the false predicates of, well, maybe Trump's better this time. There is no better iteration of Donald Trump. There is no moment of Donald Trump.
But the real chef's kiss in this whole saga was Trump's middle-of-the-night social media rampage. At 3 a.m., while normal presidents would be, sleeping, our boy Donnie was furiously typing all-caps rants on Truth Social. He called them losers and even managed to misspell Republicans as rhinos, which I guess technically makes them endangered species rather than politicians. The more Trump insisted he wasn't bothered, the more obvious it became that the Lincoln Project had scored a direct hit on his ego. Political analysts are calling this attack particularly effective because it came from people who know Trump's psychological weak spots better than anyone. As one Republican insider so elegantly put it, Trump resembles a soggy paper straw in a McDonald's milkshake.
As vice president, Trump will finally have the time to do the things that make him happiest. Talk about old movies, playing on his phone.
There aren't hundreds of thousands of us. There are a few thousand of people from the old Republican world willing to speak the truth, limiting the power of the state and fiscal probity and all the things you would think.
Which really paints a picture of his crumbling image. But while Trump was having his public meltdown, the real explosion was happening behind the scenes. Turns out Melania's famous Ice Queen persona isn't just for show. It's actually a pressure cooker that finally blew its lid. Who knew that underneath all those designer outfits and permanent poker face was a dormant volcano just waiting to erupt? For years, Melania has perfected the art of the expressionless gaze. That blank stare that says, I'm thinking about absolutely nothing while standing next to her husband.
Was because his own base is starting to realize he's basically full of shit. But he's still a convicted felon, and it's a stain that will not wash out. He's busy jacking off about Greenland and invading Panama and invading Canada and making Canada the 51st state.
It's the face that launched 1,000 memes and had everyone wondering if she was secretly a robot programmed to smile and wave. But that carefully maintained image of cool sophistication got completely shattered when the Lincoln Project ad hit Mar-a-Lago. According to eyewitnesses, the former First Lady transformed into what staffers are now calling a Slovenian volcano. And we're not talking about a gentle lava flow here. This was full-on Pompeii. Mar-a-Lago employees reportedly witnessed Melania hurling Trump's personal belongings across rooms in a display of rage that left everyone's jaws on the floor. The normally composed Mrs. Trump was suddenly speaking rapid-fire Slovenian, a language she rarely uses in public. And while the words might have been foreign, the sentiment was crystal clear to everyone within earshot. The timing couldn't possibly have been worse for Melania. Sources say she was actively trying to rebrand herself and create some distance from the Trump circus. Just when she thought she could escape being defined by her husband's never-ending drama, the Lincoln Project had pulled her right back in, casting her as half of a dysfunctional power couple and completely derailing her reinvention efforts.
He is a convicted felon and always will be. I wish they would have punished him. I wish they would have fined him. I wish they would have put him in jail for even 5 minutes. No governor of New York is ever going to pardon Donald J. Trump. He is a convicted felon forever.
The fallout has been so severe that the Trumps apparently aren't just sleeping in separate bedrooms anymore. They're practically in different zip codes. Their rooms at Mar-a-Lago are reportedly so far apart that they need golf carts to visit each other. Nothing screams healthy marriage, quite like needing motorized transportation to see your spouse, right? Honey, I'd come say goodnight, but my golf cart's in the shop is definitely not in most marriage vows.
Donald Trump has had a terrible week. Why has it been terrible? It's not going to go away. It doesn't magically get better. It doesn't suddenly, you don't wake up one morning and go, hey, I'm not a criminal anymore, because he's a criminal. While the court did not punish him, his conviction is now affirmed.
This physical separation is more than just a practical arrangement. It's a giant crack in the facade they've worked so hard to maintain. After years of awkward hand-swatting incidents and forced smiles, the carefully constructed image of marital bliss is finally crumbling like a poorly baked Trump Tower taco bowl. So that's the Lincoln Project's entire game plan. They don't need fancy weapons, just former Republican buddies who know which psychological buttons make Trump go boom. These ex-allies are like those friends who remember that embarrassing thing you did in high school and bring it up at exactly the wrong moment. They've turned Trump's own playbook against him. While Donald and Melania scramble to tape their crumbling image back together, their little golf cart situation speaks volumes. Nothing says we're totally fine like needing motorized transportation to visit your spouse. Turns out Trump's kryptonite isn't the Democrats or even his legal troubles. It's the Republicans who've seen behind the curtain and know exactly how his magic trick works.